Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. Big news. J.D. Vance basically says in passing that there will be more indictments over the next 3.5 years of President Trump's presidency. Well, that is good news because the season of retribution is upon us. Now, as the left flips out about James Comey, the former FBI director, being indicted on lying to Congress and obstruction charges, I'm asking now, who's next? We need to put the hammer down, the pedal to the metal. We need to put the pressure on. This DOJ cannot back down. It cannot stop. The two next pawns of Obama to fall on my list should be James Clapper, the former director of the CIA, John Brennan as well, okay? These two clowns, treasonous clowns, and I use clowns, I'm sorry to besmirch the good names of clowns everywhere, but these two treasonous a-holes need to be held accountable just like James Comey is going to be. Now, I actually believe there is a lane to charge them with treason because lying to Congress, the statute of limitations isn't going to fly with them, even though they did, and we can prove that they lied to Congress. So now we've got to step up and figure out how we go after them. So in today's show, I want to play you J.D. Vance's comments and why they're important about who we go after next and who else besides James Comey, Clapper, Brennan should be on this list. Stephen Miller has some thoughts about that, and so do I. The list is long, it is deep, and we need to start pressing now while momentum is on our side. So Pam Bondi, if you're listening to me, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, let's start filing these charges. Let's start getting the evidence in front of grand juries. Let's start getting these grand juries to hand down indictments. And then we are on our way to finally getting what we want. One of the reasons, and it's only one of the reasons why we elected President Trump into office, but we wanted people held accountable. And that, folks, needs to happen. All right, with that, I will say, hey, do not forget about my friends over at the Wellness Company. So as we talk about all this stuff, I'm going to ask you, are you prepared for disaster? Whether it's natural emergency, whether it's a cyber attack, whether it's a terrorist attack, whether it's drugstores closing down because of who knows what. If you don't have prescription medications on hand, you are behind the eight ball. You and your family are not prepared. I know you've got food. I know you've got water. I know you probably have a power supply like I do. But do you have prescription medications? Beyond this, there is the Spike Detox. If you regret taking the vaccine, I know many of you out there are. I don't hold it against you. But if you regret it, the Spike Detox supplement from the Wellness Company is fabulous. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. And speaking of detox, I just finished my parasite cleanse. Get rid of wingworms, roundworms, parasites from fish. If you eat sushi, go through a detox. Get your body back. Get the bloat out. Get the peace of mind back. Ivermectin and mebendazole. Great combination. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, let's get the show started, folks.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's doing great out there. I know James Comey is not doing great. This arrogant SOB thinks that somehow he's not afraid, as he says it was his job to stand up to President Trump. Now, let me ask you a question. In what world does he live in to think that the director of the FBI's job is to stand up to a political foe? That's not how it works. That's called weaponizing the DOJ. And in his little statement that he put out after his indictment, he literally incriminated himself by saying his job was to stand up to President Trump. And I guess by standing up to President Trump, that means lying to Congress. So again, I'm going to ask you, who next is on the list? I've got John Brennan and James Clapper. Those two must be next. They are imperative. They must fall. These are deep state intel guys who worked feverishly against President Trump, and I believe they broke the law in the way they went about doing it, and I believe the behavior that they engaged in was treasonous because it was about a coup. This goes all the way to Obama. I don't think you're going to get Obama, even though I believe he's guilty. All right? In many respects, the only reason why I'm saying Obama gets a pass, which in my mind he doesn't, is the same reason that I was screaming about President Trump. When you're a sitting president, let it go. I say that, but do I really mean it? Not really, because Obama was so bad when President Trump wasn't. President Trump didn't do anything wrong, and Obama did. Bottom line is, you're not going to get Obama, so let's focus on who we can get. James Clapper, we can. John Brennan, we can. Will there be more charges? J.D. Vance, lay it on me.
Schiff and Letitia James, do you think there are more indictments coming, and do you think that's justified?
Well, there's certainly going to be more indictments coming over the next 3.5 years of the Trump administration, but we're always going to let the law drive this stuff and the facts of the case and not political motivations, which frankly makes us so much different from the Biden administration.
All right, so listen to what he just said. There will certainly be more indictments, but we're going to let the law drive this. So clearly, and I'm not going to go back and do this because, well, I will a little bit later. I'm going to play for you that why we need to go after others. So I first say Clapper. I say John Brennan. Who's the next one on the list? It is clear to me Christopher Wray, the other director of the FBI, lied to Congress. And when I have proof, beyond a shadow of a doubt, proof that they lied to Congress, you have to charge them, okay? So why has Comey not turned himself in yet? They arrested Roger Stone for lying to Congress. They went in with tactical gear, 20-plus federal agents, and did a takedown like Roger Stone was El Chapo. And now Comey's still out there sitting around. Well, the reason they don't is because President Trump's actually a gentleman, which is why he didn't press to go after Hillary Clinton the first time around. Remember, she is one of the concoctors of the Russian collusion hoax. And I do believe Obama was the chief orchestrator, Clinton next, and then it went down to Brennan, Clapper, Susan Rice, and of course James Comey to carry out a lot of this. So J.D. Vance says, let's let the law take us where it leads. What a novel approach to running a Department of Justice. And it happens to be political foes that broke the law, well, then so be it. And guess what? If it happens to be Republicans that broke the law, then so be it as well. John Bolton's in my crosshairs. This guy, I believe, Bill Barr, there's some evidence he may have been cooperating with this treasonous overthrow. They're Republicans. Go after them. J.D. Vance continued on Fox News Sunday.
Where they indicted not just the President of the United States, but so many people who were just engaged in the basic job of politics, who were engaged in policymaking, who disagreed with the Biden administration, and because that they faced prosecution from that same administration. If you look at the Comey indictment, Martha.
So let's just talk about that. Who did they go after? George Papadopoulos. He was really a low-level advisor to Trump's 2016 campaign. They hung him out to dry. Roger Stone, as we know, they hung him out to dry. Steve Bannon, they hung him out to dry. Peter Navarro, they hung him out to dry. And, of course, the kingfish was President Trump. They tried to hang him out to dry. And in the end, President Trump, the Teflon Don, was untouchable. Why? Because he had the truth on his side. And I believe he also had God on his side. And most important, well, God is most important to have on your side. But second to that, he had all of us on our side. And the strength in numbers could not be overcome.
This was a grand jury indictment delivered in Alexandria, Virginia, not exactly a hotbed of Donald Trump's political support. There were three requested indictments. The grand jury returned 2 of those 3 indictments. So I think they showed they were judicious. I think that it showed clearly that there were a couple of things that James Comey did wrong. And to the people who are saying that this is all political, I mean, look, if you look at our track record in the Trump administration, there have been people who have been prosecuted, who have been political allies, who agree with with our politics. There have been people who disagree with our politics. We're not letting politics drive this. We're letting the requirements of the justice system and the law drive this. And unfortunately for James Comey, when I look at this indictment, I see a guy who lied under oath. And he'll have his day in court. He'll have his opportunity to prove the other case in front of the jury. But the idea that this is driven by politics, I think is preposterous when you actually read the details of the indictment and the obvious fact that James Comey did lie under oath to Congress multiple times.
All right, you want to do that? Because it's very easy for people to read the details of the indictment. I have it right here. This is it. It's 2 pages long, not even 2 pages long. When you put it all together of just the indictment part, it's probably only a page long. Page and a half at most. It basically says on September 30th, 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia, because he was on a Zoom call, James Comey Jr. did willfully and knowingly make a material of false, fictitious, fraudulent statement in a matter within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of government of the United States by falsely stating to a U.S. senator during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that he, James Comey, had not authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source of news reports regarding an FBI investigation concerning person one. I'm sure that had to do with President Trump, person one. That statement was false because, as James Comey Jr. then and there knew, he in fact had authorized person three to serve as an anonymous source in news reports regarding an FBI investigation concerning person one. So they have proof that he authorized it. He was asked, did you authorize it? He says no. And now they have the proof that he did in emails and witness testimony. And then there's the last charge, on or about September 3rd, 2020, blah, 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 Eastern District. Comey did corruptly endeavor to influence, obstruct, and impede the due proper exercise of the power of inquiry under which an investigation was being had before the Senate Judiciary Committee by making false and misleading statements before that committee. So that's the obstruction of justice. By making the lie, you obstructed justice. So, now you don't have to go read the indictment. Everybody says, did you read the indictment? Normally, they're 30 pages long. This case is so simple. It's so open and shut. You don't need to read it. I just read it for you. So Comey's got big problems here. Now, it's also a good for the goose, good for the gander scenario. Okay? What do I mean by that? Good for the goose, good for the gander means they started this nonsense. You're going to arrest our guys for what they said in front of Congress? Then we're going to arrest you for what you say in front of Congress. The problem is our guys were hauled in and they had a right not to testify. I'm talking about Bannon and Navarro and Stone. They had a right because they were working for the president. They still ignored that right and hung them out to dry. Comey had no right. Comey had to answer when he was asked these questions, and he answered false. This is even different than the others. But good for the goose, good for the gander. You're going to come after us. You know, nobody had been convicted, by the way, up until the Trump confidants were convicted of lying to Congress. Everybody was lying to Congress. But now, well, you know what? You're going to use it against us. We're going to use it against you too, you mother scratchers. And in the end, we're going to get you for a lot more. And this is the question I have. Can we get them for a lot more? Because that's what we want. We want the treason charge, okay? Aiding and abetting. And treason often is thought about a foreign nation. I don't think it has to be a foreign nation. I think it can be an enemy of the state, which clearly, if you're trying to run a coup, a real coup, by the way, you're an enemy of the state. Either way, there's some things that need to be done to go after Christopher Wray, John Brennan, James Clapper, okay? I'm going to play you a clip of Clapper here in a minute. And then we're going to get Stephen Miller's response to the Comey arrest, talking about Clapper and the others. All right, it all goes together here. But before I do that, I want you to know about my friends over at get20now.com. That's get20now.com. This is fabulous. Just a few days ago, I got my money direct deposited into my account, as I have every month for the last year. Why? Because I signed up with the guys at NFN8. I made a sizable investment with them. You can do what I did. Get up to 20% annualized interest. You lock into that interest rate. And this is about Bitcoin mining. They can mine Bitcoin so efficiently that they can pay you up to 20% interest on your money paid out monthly in what amounts to an investment program that, to me, in my opinion, looks fabulous. There's some tax benefits to this as well. I want you to talk to them, all right? If you've got some money to put aside and let it start working for you at a 20% rate, talk to the guys over at NFN8. Get20now.com. Get20now.com. All you do is fill out the form. They'll call you right back. And it will be my man Corey that calls you back. He's a principal in the company, not some salesman that they pay a big high commission to. Corey's one of the owners. He's going to call you back directly. It's been a very popular program. I don't know how long it'll last. They shut it down for a little while because they had so many people coming in. So now we're back up. They're ready to take some more people as they expand the warehouse space for this Bitcoin mining that they're doing. Get20now.com. That's get20now.com. All right. James Clapper goes on the Sunday morning shows. I believe this was MSNBC. This mother scratcher, man. Listen to him.
You know, I don't see any case against me. I have looked back on all of my actions and decisions, and with John Durham, the special counsel.
Oh, I don't see any case against me. I look back at it all. I'm innocent as can be. He sounds like every guy in the federal penitentiary, by the way, doesn't he? I've looked back. There's nothing to see here. This is what John Gotti says. I've looked at my actions. There's nothing. They got nothing on me. Guess what? We got a lot on you. Play it again, Sam.
You know, I don't see any case against me. I have looked back on all of my actions and decisions, and with John Durham, the special counsel, and others that have looked at what we did, that was certainly consistent with our legal authorities and with the law. So I don't know what, they're referring to there. Individuals who used to work in the government, even if their security clearances were revoked, they could be subpoenaed. They could be, called to provide testimony in support of whatever allegations they have. I don't see a case there.
Oh, you don't, huh? I mean, isn't that rich that they're interviewing the criminal himself and they're going to take his word at it that there's nothing to see here? Well, I went and looked at John Brennan's history, by the way. And it ain't good. He lied to Congress. He denied the CIA had spied on Senate staffers who were working on the CIA torture case a while back. He later admitted that the torture happened. Now, I don't care that they go ahead and torture anybody at Guantanamo Bay. If you're a Muslim terrorist, I don't care what they do to you. But you cannot spy on Senate staffers. You can't bug them. You can't trail them. You can't do all those things. They've done nothing to break the law. So he lied to Congress then. He was one of the architects of the Russia collusion hoax, which I now call the Obama collusion hoax, okay? He pushed the theory, despite knowing that it was absolutely false. We now know that he knew that Hillary Clinton's campaign had come up with the Steele dossier. And this was all about opposition research, and they used it for an FBI and CIA investigation, and John Brennan was right there along the way pushing it. Now, what about the Hunter Biden laptop? Speaking of the architect or something, John Brennan was the architect of that stupid letter, the 51 spies that signed this letter saying, oh, this is Russian disinformation. They knew it wasn't Russian disinformation. You had to be an idiot to think that somehow this would have been Russian disinformation. So again, Clapper here, not good. Everything going against him. Why does this matter? Because there's no accountability here. Comey is now at least being held accountable for some of his actions. Lying to Congress is the least of his actions. Weaponizing FBI agents is far worse. Even if Comey's convicted on this, I still think Comey will have escaped real accountability if we don't charge him for the other actions relating to January 6th. The problem is a lot of the statute of limitations running out. This is also about restoring trust. And when you look at what they did with the Obama collusion hoax, with the laptop story that they knew and lied about, this was about rigging an election. And I believe as we get deeper into this, they're going to know more and more and more about actually election rigging, okay? About ways the Democrats actually rigged the election through fraudulent voting schemes. They will have known about it, and they will be culpable in that too. So that's part of John Brennan's problem. Stephen Miller talked about this and why it's important that these people be held accountable.
Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Obama, Monaco, all conspired together, all worked together to try to sabotage, undermine, unravel the democratic institutions and structures of this country. The Russiagate hoax, the Russiagate conspiracy, and all of the assaults against our liberties that went with it. The pre-dawn raids, the handcuffing of innocent Americans, the espionage against President Trump's campaign and staff, the removal of his national security advisor, one fake indictment, one fake charge after another, the special counsel, all of it was a unrelenting attempt to overthrow the government the American people voted for. I cannot find words harsh enough to condemn the conduct of these conspirators, these insurrectionists.
Well, I forgot about General Flynn. General Flynn's a great friend of mine. How do I not include him on the list of those that were persecuted? They literally concocted a scheme to remove him as national security advisor for President Trump. And so they are all co-conspirators in a giant coup. Is anyone going to be held accountable? Yeah, we get Comey for lying to Congress. Again, Pam Bondi, put the hammer down now. Now, here's the thing that is also very different, and I want you to really think about this. We didn't find some court in Tyler, Texas, stacked with deep red, Make America Great Again judges, okay, with a jury pool that would vote like me and put any of these Democrat characters behind bars because they deserve it. And you know what? I'll even admit it. If I'm on a jury, I'm going to find every way I can to figure out a way to vote for them to be guilty, okay? But we didn't go find a jury pool like that. We went and found a jury pool in Virginia. This is Obama country, okay? I'm not going to say Clinton or Biden country because none of that is that. This is blue Obama country where James Comey lied from on a Zoom call when I guess he was home during COVID. So the grand jury pool, who do you think that's made up of? The grand jury pool was made up of Democrats. Mark my words on that. Now, what did they do to President Trump? They charged him in places like Atlanta, Georgia, with a grand jury made up of Democrats. In New York, grand jury made up of Democrats. In Washington, D.C., grand jury made up of Democrats. Judges that are Democrats. Jury members that are Democrats. We didn't do that. This case is brought in Virginia. A very, very, very different scenario. Right, Miranda Devine?
Well, I think that if I were his lawyer, I'd be having conniptions because really you're not supposed to open your mouth after you've been indicted. It just shows the arrogance of the man and sort of the nuttiness of him. You know, he was just a couple of weeks ago that he was doing that Swiftie, reading out words from Taylor Swift's songs and saying he was a Swiftie. I mean, I don't know how old he thinks he is. He just seems like a ridiculous figure, and his judgment throughout his tenure at the FBI was flawed, and he's just a weak and silly sort of man.
I agree. Miranda Devine with the New York Post. She was instrumental in uncovering the Obama collusion hoax, trying to tie President Trump to Russia. Clinton involved. She was instrumental with the Hunter Biden laptop. So good. But it gets down to the difference between us and them. They will rig the system. That's how they win elections, and it's how they beat us in court. They rig the system. The stopgap that we have, though, is, of course, the Supreme Court. See, they can't rig you and me. So if you and me keep voting for Republicans and we keep overwhelming this country with people like you and me to make sure we have presidents like President Trump that can keep appointing Supreme Court justices that believe in the Constitution, they can't ultimately get there because that's the stopgap. But it is unfortunate that we have to have an emergency lever, which is the Supreme Court, because they are so deceitful and so devious. So we play by the rules. Fine. I guess we should be proud of it, even though I'm really ready to start playing a little dirty. Honestly, I am, because that's what they do to us. But we play by the rules. And Scott Jennings pointed that out, too.
He seems to be kneecapping his own prosecutors here.
Well, look, that's the thing. There's a system, and the system includes grand juries and juries of ordinary Americans who get in a room and make decisions. He can't order people to be indicted, and he can't order people to be convicted. He can express his opinion. In the case of Comey, grand jurors in a very liberal jurisdiction got together and decided that the evidence did warrant charges. Comey will go to trial, and then a jury of his peers will decide whether he is guilty or not. The president can't do anything about that. He can make commentary on it. I'm not sure if it's wise or not wise to do that, or if it will matter at all. But ultimately, I'll just say what Jim Comey said when Donald Trump was indicted. It's a good day for the rule of law because we have a system, and the system is in place, and the system is working as it was designed, with average, ordinary Americans making decisions about how our laws will be enforced.
Scott Jennings. He's great. You know, I'm going to be with Scott Jennings October 19th for Salem Town Hall in Orange County, California. Go to am870.info if you want to go see us. Me, Larry Elder, Scott Jennings, my co-host Jen Horn, who you know from the Real America's Voice show, and my co-host out in L.A., Mark Lamb, the American Sheriff, he's going to be with us. We got a whole slew of great speakers. You know, sadly, Charlie Kirk was normally with us for this event every year, and obviously he's not going to be with us, but we'll pay a special tribute to him. But as I play Scott Jennings, who's a guy I'm excited to meet, I haven't met him yet. As we play Scott Jennings, I'd like to know if you want to hear more from him. Would you like to hear more from what the panel, how they reacted to his comments? Because we will continue to be the party of the rule of law, much to my dismay. No, I'm all for the rule of law. I really am, but I'm ready to put the screws to them.
You know, you said that he can't actually order the indictment of someone. I think he just proved that he could. I think what he did, the series of events that took place here, we have to actually be clear about what happened, right? He tried to pressure Eric Siebert at the Eastern District of Virginia.
You know, I don't even want to hear them because President Trump didn't do any of this. When you look at what Joe Biden and Barack Obama did to force charges against the people that I listed earlier, Roger Stone and General Flynn and Bannon and Navarro and Papadopoulos, and the list goes on and on and on. And President Trump, Obama was the architect. The auto pen was who knows signing what to authorize all of this stuff. And then all of the henchmen. These people need to shut up. They don't deserve me playing the rest of it. So I'm not going to play the rest of it. But I will play for you is why I believe Christopher Wray needs to be next. Okay? Christopher Wray lied to Congress, and I can bring you back within the statute of limitations to charge Christopher Wray for lying to Congress. Would you like to hear that testimony? Because there is plenty of it. I'm going to play that here for you. I'm sure you want to hear it, right? Why wouldn't you want to hear it? Before I do, folks, here's who I want you to get with. It's amazing. EnergizedHealth.com, EnergizedHealth.com. I'm going to be flat out honest with you. You give yourself 3 months on the Energized Health program. It is not hard. You just have to commit to doing some things a little differently, eating a little differently, working out a little differently. No boot camp style stuff. No crazy diets that you've got to continue forever and that are going to starve you to death. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about changing things a little differently. And then getting yourself hydrated at a cellular level, okay? That's the key. Scientifically proven, if you hydrate your cells, the weight will start to melt off. The fat will melt away. The muscle will start to grow. Your blood pressure will come down. This has helped people with liver disease and diabetes. My testosterone actually went up on this program. But I lost 15 pounds when I first started it in 2 weeks. I went back again and did it. I lost another 10 pounds a while. I mean, this thing works. And that was in 2 weeks. You give yourself 3 months to slowly let this thing transform, your life will be changed. Go to energizedhealth.com. That's energizedhealth.com. Learn about cellular hydration, okay, and what it can do for you. There's a master class there. I urge you to take it. I've gone through this program. It is great. I want you to do it too. It's about getting your life back. Energizedhealth.com. That's energizedhealth.com. All right. As we continue here, I want to go through. Let me see here. What am I doing? I got to get this off the screen for you here. Sorry about that. All right. As we continue here, I want to go through some of the testimony from Christopher Wray that I believe proves he lied to Congress. It's a very simple deal. Christopher Wray is bad news. So let's go through it, and then we'll talk about Clapper, about what he did as well. This is my whole list today of who needs to be next on the indictment parade, okay? Here we go.
How many individuals were either FBI employees or people that the FBI had made contact with were in the January 6th entry of the Capitol and surrounding area?
So I really need to be careful here talking about where we have or have not used confidential human sources.
Was there one or more? Was there one or more individuals that would fit that description on January 6th that were in or around the Capitol?
I believe there is a filing in one of the January 6 cases that can provide a little more information about this, and I'm happy to see if we can follow back up with you.
I just want an answer. Was there one or more? I mean, you would know if there was at least one individual who worked for the FBI who entered the Capitol on that day.
I just can't speak to that here, but I'm happy to get the court filing.
Look, it's been 2 years. So I'm going to make the assumption that there was more than one, more than five, more than 10, that those who were there.
All right. So you don't think Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, before that, the assistant director of the FBI, knew that we had 250 agents, 20 plus confidential informants, undercover January 6th? You don't think Christopher Wray knew that? I'm going to guarantee you beyond a shadow of a doubt Christopher Wray knew that. Christopher Wray knows that he knew that, which is why this kind of nonsense that he's going through is lying to Congress. Andy Biggs, my buddy, is going to ask him the same things Darrell Issa asked him. But I want you to just listen to Darrell Issa's questions again, because we now have definitive proof. There were after-action reports done of January 6th, talking about the 250 plus FBI agents undercover on January 6th, many of them offering up complaints, telling the FBI leadership that wokeness had infected the FBI, that they were being used as pawns in a political game. There were dozens of these messages back to FBI leadership, and they never revealed this after-action report to the January 6th sham committee the last time around. That, to me, too, is treasonous. They set these J6ers up. So now you've got J6ers sitting in prison. There were 250 FBI agents that witnessed them not committing crimes, and not one of them stands up and says, hey, I'm sorry. I was there. I was undercover. I saw them taking an unorganized tour around the Capitol. I saw them not even veering out from inside the ropes. And the FBI agents that were undercover that day that didn't speak up, which is all of them, y'all should be ashamed of yourself. You really should. So again, to listen to Christopher Wray carefully here, lie to Congress. You must be next, Christopher Wray.
Or people that the FBI had made contact with were in the January 6th entry of the Capitol and surrounding area.
So I really need to be careful here talking about where we have or have not used confidential human sources.
Was there one or more? Was there
anything?
one or more individuals that would fit that description on January 6th that were in or around the Capitol?
I believe there is a filing in one of the January 6 cases that can provide a little more information about this, and I'm happy to see if we can follow back up with you.
I just want an answer. Was there one or more? I mean, you would know if there was at least one individual who worked for the FBI who entered the Capitol on that day.
I can't, again, I just can't speak to that here, but I'm happy to get the court filing that.
Look, it's been 2 years. So I'm going to make the assumption that there was more than one, more than 5, more than 10, that those who
200 plus. So you see what Christopher Wray does there. He doesn't necessarily tell the lie. He says, I'm not going to talk about it here. You go back, and he never gives up the information. The court filing didn't say there were 250 FBI agents. He knew full well. He could have easily said, yes, there was more than one. Yes, there were dozens. But he didn't say that because he knew America would flip its shit, which we would have. And again, the mainstream media isn't covering any of this. Andy Biggs, the great congressman from Arizona who's now running for governor. He's my pick for governor of Arizona.
There, in an undercover capacity on January 6th, how many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure.
Not sure you get there. There's the lie. Because you can give the number. So that was a lie. You maybe can't give the exact number, but you can get it close.
There were undercover agents on scene.
Again,
I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
Not sure there was undercover agent. There were 250 plus. Now, we need the internal documents that show Christopher Wray knew that. And if they see this after action report that Kash Patel has listed, I would imagine Christopher Wray would have seen that. There's got to be a email chain back to that coming across Christopher Wray's desk.
I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
Any
FBI agents.
Bingo. Bingo. I do not believe there were any undercover agents. 250 plus, 24 confidential informants. That's a massive operation, even from a massive agency like the Federal Bureau of Investigations. But 200 plus agents on January 6th with everything that surrounded that day is a massive operation, okay? And so the fact that you're telling me you don't believe there were agents there, you're lying. You're lying through your teeth.
Do you have any assets present that day in the crowd?
When it comes to what you're calling assets or what we would call confidential human sources, that's a place where, again, I want to be careful, much as I said in response to an earlier question. There are court filings that I think speak to this that I'm happy to make sure we get to you, assuming they're not under seal. And that can better answer the question than I can as I sit here right now.
Oh, you're nothing but a lousy, low-down, dirty snake. Okay? You're a low-down, dirty snake. I will tell you, and the rest of them that I named. So now, we've got at the top of the list, Obama, low-down, dirty snake. Comey, low-down, dirty snake. Clapper, low-down, dirty snake. Brennan, low-down, dirty snake. Wray, low-down, dirty snake. Susan Rice, low-down, dirty snake. Joe Biden, notice he's way down at the bottom of the list because he was inconsequential. Joe Biden, low-down, dirty snake. Oh, let's put Hillary Clinton back someplace in the middle there. Low-down, dirty snake. Can they say that about any of us? Of course not. We're nothing all but gentlemen, including President Trump and everybody in his administration. There's no low-down dirty snakes here. None. Everyone that was involved in the Obama collusion scheme to stop President Trump was a low-down dirty snake. And the fish rots from the head. And the head of this fish is Barack Obama, which makes him the chief low-down dirty snake. So now I didn't even tell you about James Clapper. I'll tell you, he lied to Congress in 2013. Senate testimony by denying the NSA collected data on millions of Americans. He later admitted the statement was false. What happened to him? Nothing. He admitted he lied to Congress about the NSA data on millions. That was a huge story for all of us. Nothing happened to him, by the way. The Russia collusion narrative, the Obama collusion scheme. He literally was the driver of the Trump-Russia collusion hoax without credible evidence, fueling this division, fueling media hysteria, leaking bogus information to the media, all in an effort to take control of the United States government and usurp the will of the American people. That's treason. That's James Clapper. He took intelligence that not only was bogus, but he politicized it. They, as we now know, took intelligence assessments, and then what did he do? I'd say, you don't even say shaped them. I don't even say massaged them. He concocted them so they would be anti-Trump, somehow that he was connected to Putin when the assessments were coming back that they weren't. There was no evidence of that. He was falsifying these intelligence assessments to somehow come to a conclusion that it was, and it was all bogus. And then, of course, that 2020 laptop letter by all those intel deep staters that we talked about. James Clapper was a signer to that. It's all part of a coup, folks. It was all part of an active coup. So now you've got Ray in the coup as well. And I think it's proven. Now, the media comes out and wants to defend Comey. Now, he's the only one who's been indicted so far. Everywhere you look, oh, they've weaponized the justice system. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. If you listen to the mainstream media, everything out of their mouths is projection. It is exactly what they did to us, what they are alleging we are doing to them. Everything. Listen to these two clowns on MSNBC.
Maybe Comey will end up walking away from this, but this will still be expensive. It will be stressful. It could ruin Comey's life for a time, and it seems to be foreshadowing if Comey's now, who could be next?
Yes, a lot of them, and I've gone through them on this podcast. Oh, it could ruin his life. What do you say to the J6ers they threw in the hole? I know people who spent 15 months, 3 years, all kinds of time. That's what it was. It was more than that. It was 4 years and change in prison. 4 years in prison for nothing. All of them, thankfully, pardoned by President Trump. Some of them 4 years in prison without even a trial. You want to talk about ruining people's lives? You had real estate agents and stockbrokers and members of the United States military who were there on their own time. They lost everything because Comey and crew went after them with a vengeance. So don't give me this shit about it could be expensive. You're going to ruin somebody's life. Ooh-gots to you.
Right. I think that's the punishment. It's the punishment. James Comey has to have expensive lawyers now, and it'll be take.
Hold on a second. What do you think they were trying to do to President Trump? They tried to financially bankrupt him, okay? $500 million judgments for bogus cases thrown out, by the way, because they were bogus. What do you think y'all were trying to do to us?
A lot of his time and, emotional investment. Theoretically, his liberty will be at stake in this case. That's what, look, the Justice Department, a federal indictment is nothing to sneeze at. It is a life-changing event, this is clearly punishment directed at James Comey. I mean, it couldn't be more explicit.
Oh, shut up. Of course it's punishment directed at James Comey, because he screwed us 10 ways to Sunday. He went back on his oath to America. I'm not giving up on this, and I'm not giving up on the others. This is the season of retribution. And the season ain't going to end anytime soon until everybody that needs to be held accountable is held accountable. Now, will they actually have the stones to go after these people with the charges that they need to come down on them with, like treason? You know, treason is punishable by death. And I'll be honest with you. Do I want to see James Comey put to death? Probably not. Clapper and Brennan, I don't think they deserve it. I think it'd be too easy for them. Put them in prison for a very, very long time. Make them suffer. Clapper and Brennan are older. Make them live out the rest of their lives in the federal penitentiary. Send them to San Quentin. I don't know. No, that's what in California. They'll treat them right over there. We got a federal penitentiary or even a state penitentiary in Texas, here where I broadcast from. They'll do great in. It's what needs to happen, folks. It really does. All right, up next, I want to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk. And I want to go through some of his videos. And, you know, we had this shooting at a Church of Latter-day Saints, a Mormon church, yesterday. They set it on fire. Again, an attack on Christians. I want you to listen to what Kamala Harris said the night before. Was she egging this on? I'm going to play that clip for you, and then Biden egging on violence, and we still got a lot to talk about here, folks. But let me tell you about one of my all-time favorites, and that is Patriot Mobile. I've got a Patriot Mobile phone, 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT. That's not my number. That's how you get in touch with Patriot Mobile. If you sign up right now, and you know I tell you, every time you send your money to the big cell phone companies, they're feeding the woke agenda. They give money to all these organizations that we despise. Now, if you want to go with a company that gives money to organizations we love, like Folds of Honor and Tunnel to Towers and the National Rifle Association, and funds talk shows like this program and Turning Point USA and Jason Aldean tours and those guys, Patriot Mobile is it. PatriotMobile.com/Grant, 100% U.S.-based customer service. You get to choose what network you want to be on. So you pick from the three big networks. You're not going to sacrifice service. Performance guarantee like none other. They're going to be even better, cheaper than the other cell phone companies. You're going to save some money. And they're going to give you a free month service, and they'll make you a deal to switch so you won't lose money on that front. Use the promo code GRANT, okay, for that free first month's activation. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month. 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT. And don't forget, switching is so easy. They got the SIM cards. They'll have you switched over to your phone. Keep your phone, upgrade, get a new phone, whatever you want to do. It'll take minutes. That's it, minutes. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right, so we had this crazy shooting. His details are still coming out about it. I want to play for you Kamala Harris last night. This is Kamala Harris at an event in Washington, D.C., the Congressional Black Caucus, okay? Kamala Harris, again, egging the violence on. That's what Democrats do. They wink and a nod, and they push these blind, liberal, violent, deadly zombies into action.
At a time such as this, it demands one thing for sure. We must fight fire with fire. So CBC, let's get to work. Thank you.
All right, she's talking about the Congressional Black Caucus. Fight fire with fire, she said. No, my heart doesn't dream of you at all, Kamala Harris. Fight fire with fire? The guy drives a truck into the building, lights the Church of Latter-day Saints on fire, and starts shooting up the congregation. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, knock off the freaking rhetoric, man. Knock it off. All of you.
MAGA Republican. Trump out tonight.
Equality and democracy are under assault by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
This dude has to be knocked over the head, like hard.
We're in a war right now, so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
We like a good fight.
We Democrats are fighting as hard as we can. Democrats are fighting as hard as we can. Credit it in any way, but we're fighting back.
And that is a threat to this country.
Yeah, they are. The violent left may be the greatest threat we face right now. They're dangerous, and they're not stopping. We're seeing shooting after shooting. We live in an assassination culture where they try to take us out. My friend Charlie Kirk murdered in front of thousands of people. Millions more on social media. They will stop at nothing. I believe that. They will get to a point where they push too far. That I promise you. If they keep down this road of violent acts, it will go too far. Civil war will ensue. It's not what I want. It's not what I want to see. And I'll do everything in my power to stop a civil war from ever happening in this country. But if they push too far, they will push too far, and it will happen. And if it happens, it is not going to turn out well for them. It will not. And it will be on them. We have shown so much restraint. You see what we did after they murdered Charlie Kirk. We organized the largest revival maybe in world history. That's what we did. We organized the largest revival in world history. They riot. They burn down things. They injure people. They attack people. They slit the throats of people. They drive trucks into crowds and churches. And what do? We pray and we sing and we rally and we vote. And then we pray some more. We don't do what they did. But mark my words, left, there will come a time where you've pushed too far. And when that time comes, it will not end well for you. Can you believe I'm in a point in time in America where that kind of talk has to come from me to warn the left to knock it off now? You understand what I'm doing here? This is like a street fight. And they've already beaten up two people, and I'm bigger than them. I'm stronger than them. And I'm saying, hey, you know what? I'm giving you one last warning. Stop before it's too late. Take my advice. Stop. So we end this now. Stop the violence. And to my Democrat, I don't have any Democrat friends. I really don't. I don't have any time for them. They hate America. It's sad. I want to be tolerant. I have family members that are Democrats. I've lost all respect for them. I don't think they can reason, quite frankly. You know, it's really hard to have friends that you can't respect because nobody's denouncing what's going on in this country. And when they don't denounce what's going on, they're part of the problem. So how do I have respect? How do you be friends with somebody that you don't have any respect for? You can't. So to the Democrats out there that are in positions of power, you're not my friend. You know you're not my friend. Tell your blind liberal zombie goons to back off, to back up, muzzle them, put them back from whatever rock they crawled out from underneath. But tell them to stop with the violence, because if you push too far, it will be too much. Sadly. Very, very sadly. All right. Hey, real quick, I want to play a couple sound bites. I think it's appropriate that we do this. Charlie Kirk, you know, he's vilified. And I want you to listen to him. He's vilified as a racist.
Hey, Mr. Kirk, thanks for coming out tonight. I got a question for you real quick. Up until about 5 years ago when gay marriage was legalized nationwide, the conservative movement has been explicitly pro-traditional family. Now, both you and your organization advocate for the acceptance of anti-Christian, immoral lifestyles like homosexuality and transsexuality, going as far to invite drag queens like Lady MAGA to your events. It seems to me and anyone who's paying attention that conservatives just believe whatever liberals believed 5 years ago. Right now, there's a push by the left to normalize pedophilia by way of child drag queen shows and... Oh, excuse me. Phone shut off.
Go back to your notes. That's probably where you saved it.
So Charlie's going to handle this guy brilliantly, okay? And you're going to see all the evidence you need to see, and this is really for the folks on the left that do watch this program. They hate it, but they can't help themselves. This is for all of you to show you that Charlie Kirk was no racist.
You know, you got to like push double tap and then go over.
Right now, there is a push by the left to normalize pedophilia by way of child drag queen shows and rebranding pedophiles as minor attracted persons. 5 years from now, will you be promoting child drag queen shows? Will child abuse become part of the conservative platform?
Boy, that's a slippery slope fallacy if I've ever seen one. First of all, I've never invited a drag queen to come to any Turning Point USA event. I was at Politicon, and an individual by the name of Lady MAGA came up, and I took a picture, and she walked away. Secondly, let me ask you a question. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, sir.
So are you a proud Trump supporter?
Of course.
So are you sickened that he had a gay man speak at his convention?
Yes.
Then you're not a Trump supporter, my friend. Thank you very much. Let me ask you another question. Should he return the money of Peter Thiel, an openly gay man who supports his campaign?
No, if it helps him strategically,
Okay.
sure he can.
Should he stop talking to Tammy Bruce, who's an open lesbian that's a Fox News contributor?
If it's affecting his ideas, then probably, yeah.
Okay, so you say you're a Trump supporter, yet you have all these issues and these disagreements with him. Let me be very clear about my position. My personal position, I'm a Christian first and foremost, then an American, then a constitutionalist, then a conservative, in that order. I believe marriage, biblically, if we want to have a biblical and theological discussion, as articulated in the greatest book ever to exist in the history of the world, the Holy Bible. Marriage in the Holy Bible is one man, one woman. I also do not believe in the sort of rhetoric that some people engage in, that all of a sudden that they say there's no place for gay people in the conservative movement. I do not believe that.
It's not conservative.
And let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question then?
Sure, go for it.
So, the American family, liberty, freedom, the Constitution, our history, veterans, that's what we're conserving. I'll get to you later, though, don't worry. So let me ask you a question. If you had your way, what would you do with gay people in America?
What would I do with them?
Yeah, because they're not allowed in the conservative movement, so would you just kick them out anytime they show up at a Republican Party? If you were in charge, like what would you say? You can't be part of the Republican Party.
If somebody is advocating for being openly homosexual, yeah, they should not be part of the conservative movement.
So I just want to go through the list. Guy Benson, no place in the conservative movement. Dave Rubin, no place in the conservative movement. Peter Thiel, no place in the conservative movement. So that just to go down the list.
If they are supporting open homosexuality.
So I'm going to ask a very respectful question, as respectfully as I can. What does what they do in their private life concern you so much that you have to go up in front of a crowd? And
it is against God. That is
so.
why.
Let me ask you a question.
Are you a Christian or not?
Do we live in a theocracy? Yes or no? No. Do we live in a theocracy?
You said you're a Christian.
I am a Christian. And do you know what? And guess what? I will say this. Part of being a Christian is appropriately interpreting what the theological says for the individual, but also means to be long-suffering and patient and loving and kind. Jesus Christ talked to all people. Jesus Christ went and did his ministry through Judea and Samaria, and he had dinner with tax collectors, and he had dinner with prostitutes, and he did his ministry in every part of the Mediterranean. What it means to be a Christian, my friend, is to be open-minded but firm in your beliefs, so you can have that belief. But if you say there's something inherently wrong with communicating or associating just because they make different personal decisions than you, sir, are not a conservative. Thanks for being here tonight.
It's my favorite, one of them, clips from Charlie Kirk, because it was so well thought out. And it's also bold because there's a lot of people in the conservative movement that aren't going to think like him. They aren't inclusive, okay? I will tell you. I am inclusive. I know that I can't agree with everybody on everything, all right? And I'm like Charlie. I believe marriage is between a man and a woman, but I'm also like Charlie. I don't give a rat's ass what you do in your own bedroom as long as you're not bringing it on my own kid, okay? And that's the end result. And I do have compassion, and I have kindness in my heart, and I want everyone to to find happiness and peace. And being evil to people doesn't help our cause move in any direction. Thank you, Charlie Kirk, for that. Maybe I should do that a little bit, play some Charlie Kirk clips here or there, because the man really was brilliant. And, I'm going to make a confession. I did events with Charlie 2-3 times a year. I knew him from my Real America's Voice show, since he had a show on RAV, and of course, Salem Media, my show in L.A. He had a national show for Salem Media. We crossed paths on that front. I didn't know how brilliant he was until I started really going back, listening to all his clips. I've done events with him, and I knew he was smart, and I knew he was a dynamic young man. But I didn't know how brilliant he was until I really started studying him. And he was brilliant. And I only wish I did more to be closer to Charlie Kirk than I did, because I could have learned a lot from that young man. I'm 57, he's 31. I could have learned a lot from him. All right, folks, I've got something to tell you about, which is really, really cool. It's called the Crypto Code. thecryptocode.com/grant. There's a video that's going to take you behind the scenes. I want you to go watch that video. And then after you're done, you tell yourself, hey, would this help me make some money while I sleep? Is this mailbox money, so to sleep? This is a trading bot that will help you trade cryptocurrency that operates with very little risk. And it doesn't take a lot of money to start, okay? You could start making $20, $30, $40, $50 here, $50 there. Then you up it a little bit, $200, $300, $400. Their math is 93% success rate. That's phenomenal, okay? Now, I can't guarantee you the results. You got to go and watch this masterclass, see if it's right for you. The FTC mandates, I tell you, I can't guarantee results. But their history is pretty darn good that they push out there. Thecryptocode.com/grant. Thecryptocode.com/grant. This is about building your way to financial independence, something everybody wants to do. And it's a way to get into crypto with very minimal risk, because you're in, you're out. It's not a buy and hold system. You're in, you're out. You're in, you're out. You're in, you're out. It's fun, and it works. Thecryptocode.com/grant. At least that's what history shows. Again, I don't want to get in trouble with the FTC. Thecryptocode.com/grant. Go there, watch this video, okay? And I think you're going to be really, really impressed with it. And speaking of being impressed, I was ultimately super impressed by our United States Coast Guard taking down another one of these drug boats. Finally, the Coast Guard unleashed. Under Joe Biden, they were handcuffed. Not anymore. Watch this, guys. I love it. God bless the men and women of the Coast Guard. This group bringing drugs to America that was going to kill our kids.
Fast gun.
Not anymore. Busted. Thank you, United States Coast Guard. Thank you, President Trump, for allowing them to do their job. God bless them. God bless the United States military. God bless the Border Patrol. God bless our law enforcement officers everywhere, our first responders, the people that make it easier for us, that make it safer for us to go about our everyday lives, the people that wear a flag on their shoulder, quite frankly. We're big supporters and fans of all of yours. All right, that's going to do it for us today, folks. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thank you so much for watching. GrantStinchfield.com is the website. Please subscribe, like. If you're watching this, subscribe to the channel. So important. If you can, copy, paste the link. Tweet it out, X it out someplace, truth it out. All of the above. Spreading the word is important. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you. We'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, everybody.